So unlike Zarina can escape that anything goes wrong if they say it's a personal opinion, I don't think that applies to me. So as usual, I will still be very candid. Why I said so, that if a pre-election coalition, whatever, I mean, the unity government was formed as a post-election coalition. Okay? We did not have any kind of understanding or formal discussion prior to the general election, but we formed the coalition 2 days after the general election. The first official discussion was held on 21st of November. That was the first time where we went for dating. Okay? That was the first time that we met each other formally in a setup, in a meeting. So it is a formal, it is a post-election coalition that we are having right now. But going into the state election, we are going back to the pre-election coalition, because we will have some sort of understanding in terms of not overlapping seats to go into the election, and we will campaign in this coming state election as one team, PH plus Barisan Nasional, against Pakatan Nasional. So it is a pre-election coalition, and knowing well that the moment if we form the state government, then both coalitions will be represented in the state government. So this is something that from a post-election coalition going back to a pre-election coalition. And it's very important that we must have this understanding. As for way back in January, after we formed the federal government, I told my colleagues in PH, I said for this government to stay intact and to maintain stability within the coalition government, we must first ensure that there will be no contest against each other in the coming state election. Because that will definitely be instability if we were to contest against each other. Because I think the lesson drawn from Sabah, from Malacca, from Johor shows that it will not be tenable that you are sitting together in Putrajaya but you're fighting each other at the state election. That is definitely a no-go. So steps must be taken to ensure that we must have an understanding going into the election to show that we are here to stay, we have a stable government, and we want to go into the election together as one block. So that is my answer to your question. As for Sabah and Sarawak, I can only say that politics is dynamics. We have another 2 to 3 years, and no seats negotiation will ever be held 3 years before the state election. Let's be honest about it. Okay? I think many of us went through. Dato' Saifuddin, of course, we were friends together. We are still friends, of course. I don't hold any grudges. So we went through a lot of process together, a lot of cycles in negotiation and all that. I think everyone will agree with me that no negotiation will ever be held 2 to 3 years before the state election. I think right now, let's be practical about it. We are still a very new coalition as far as the unity government is concerned. We need time to build up the relationship, and that's what we are doing right now, in the process of building relationship, building trust. And hopefully, of course, as far as I'm concerned, I would do my very level best to ensure that this government works, that this coalition is here to stay. So by then, after 2 or 3 years, if we have a good working relationship and that we show sincerity to work together, then I'm sure that the negotiation will be quite easy. I don't see negotiation as a zero-sum game. It must be a package deal. It must be a win-win situation. It must be based on reality. It must be based on practical solution. And I think that we can deal with the Sabah and Sarawak election when the time comes. So that's my answer.
My soalan tambahan, YB. It is certainly the case now. The question I want to pose is that if you have a first-past-the-post system for you to build a pre-election coalition, you need to have transferability of your supporters' votes to each other. And this is what we see currently. PH and UMNO facing. It's very hard to persuade ex-rival to become new lovers. And so the question I pose is that if this is a challenge going on, we know you have no problem forming post-election coalitions, right? do you think it is time, not now, but before GE16 or before GE17, we should have a serious discussion talking about tweaking our electoral system to introduce party list seats?
Well, first of all, I have no problem of a party list system. Okay? This proposal was not new. In fact, it was discussed 10 years ago in 2012 when we have this Parliamentary Select Committee on Electoral Reform. Right after the persuade 2 demonstration, that then the government, led by Dato' Sri Najib, formed a special select committee. I was a member of that select committee, and that was one of the proposals mentioned. But of course, at the time, we were just focusing on some very, very immediate solutions, some immediate steps to strengthen the electoral system. We know that it's very hard to change the entire system. But now, of course, any possibility can happen. I think, in fact, this is the best timing in terms of talking about real reform to our system. Provided that, knowing politicians, knowing political parties, every political party will first calculate whether that benefits me. If it's beneficial to me, that it helps my political survival, then everybody will be on board. I think that is a very, very practical consideration. Just like the anti-hopping law, why we were able to get general consensus, put aside the MOU between the government and opposition. Because I think every party then look at the needs of it. That every party needs that to protect their own turf. UMNO needs it, PH needs it. I'm sure many other parties look at that as something that they need it. So PAS needs it as well, because PAS was a victim of political fraud, of hopping. So when we put that into the discussion, every party can easily agree to it. So same goes to this two-tier system. If we have a party list and as well as a constituency base, something which of course I think it can be discussed, but whether or not it is suitable, but I think the parameters must be very clear. What are the costs to it? What are the benefits to it? And as far as if you want to introduce party lists, but of course the other practical problem will be you need to enlarge the parliament. Okay? Whether or not the general public will accept it. From 222, if we talk about a two-tier system, you must at least increase parliamentary size by another 50% to over 300 MPs. That definitely will be a cost to it. There will be taxpayers have to pay more to MPs because it employ more people. So whether or not that is something that the public are ready for it, that is another issue. Because sometimes when we talk about all this reform, ideal situation that we want to achieve, it's not necessary that the public will buy it. Because they will look at it as something as wasting taxpayers' money. You already have enough 222 guys shouting at each other every day. You add on another 100 guys, you add on another 100 days of sittings, and so they will be continue shouting. So people might not necessarily agree to it. So that is my point of having this reform.